Now, as humans, we are the masters of comparing one bad thing to another bad thing. Like, let me paint the scene for you, okay? You've gone out, having a few drinks, suddenly it's becoming a few bottles, and then next thing you know, it's the morning after and you have the world's worst hangover. You are on the brink of death. The projectile vomiting, the sweats, the whole lot, and you're thinking, this is the worst hangover I've ever had in my life. Then, a few months later, after your liver has recovered, you do the same thing. However, when you would have stopped the previous time, you take it the next step further, and next thing you know, you're taking tequila shots. And then the morning after that, the previous hangover is looking like a swing in the park, and you're thinking, how the hell did I get in this position again, and why is it even worse? Well, it's because of the tequila shots. But the second part is, you've got something to compare it to, okay? So you're probably thinking, Connor, why are we doing a primary school teaching lesson? Well, it's all relative, and it's all about how we compare things to one another. And basically, the premise of this video is, there are some bags out there that, whilst I know for one person it might be worth it, for myself, I'm looking at them scratching my noggin thinking, are they okay? Let's get into it. But firstly, if you are new here, my name's Connor and I like to talk about all things luxury. So if that's something you're into, I'd love it if you could hit the subscribe button and the bell button so you're notified when I bring out new videos. And if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. So this year I have been very, not underwhelmed, but when I'm looking at bags that are coming out or new collections or whatnot, I'm very like, it's got to be pretty good for me to want to buy it. Because ever since I got my, what's that called? Peekaboo made to order, must have been really amazing, I can't even remember its name. No, when I got my Peekaboo made to order, that kind of changed the benchmark of how I feel about bags, and I guess what I'm expecting to get out of a bag, because that one is so special. Does that make sense? Which is kind of a good thing, because I'm not just like excited by things that are coming out, like it's really got to excite me. And so far, there's things that have come out and I'm like, oh, I really like this, but is that Louis Vuitton canvas piece really worth $6,000? No. So that's kind of changed my perspective on bags, and something's got to be really special. I've really got to just see it and be like, oh, I really want that, like, let's get it sort of thing. And it's made me look at some bags that have come out that are really expensive, and I just don't think that they're worth that. So obviously this is my perspective on these bags. You might think they're a bargain. If you're in that category where you think they're a bargain, what do you do for work? Because I would love to know. But let's start with this Prada bag. Now, I'm going to just quickly digress. If you work for a luxury fashion brand and your job is to name the bags, can you fucking name the bag something? Because I cannot look at one more bag that does not have a specific name and it's just been used to describe the bag. Like, the features of the bag is the name of the bag. So in what other world is that allowed? Like, it'd be like if Lexus brought out a new car and it was like the i20, but they just decided to call it car with wheels and steering wheel and door handles and in blue. Like, no, it would be called the i20 or whatever the hell it would be called. So Prada, this bag was a runway bag. It's got a bit of hype, but honestly, it's called the Prada buckle leather handbag with double belt. Okay, I don't know what you would abbreviate that to, but that is not a catchy name, and that is just, like, lazy. But anyways, back onto what we're talking about. This Prada buckle leather handbag with double belt comes in black and this kind of caramel color. $9,900. Is that worth it? Because I'm looking at it and like it's that. Like, it's a Prada buckle leather handbag with the double belt. $9,900? I don't think so. And I understand it's a runway piece, so generally they come with a higher caliber sort of price, and generally they use a different type of leather, or, you know, something different from what Prada would normally use. Like, it's not Saffiano leather, it's some sort of fancy schmancy leather. But really, I'm looking at it thinking, no, thank you. And unless you're into S&M and you're going to get some some versatility out of those belts that are hanging down. I don't think the cat of nine tails is going to compete with that. But seriously, overpriced. Which brings me to my second bag. Now, obviously, this one would come as no surprise to you. This is the small classic flap from Chanel. Now, you're probably looking at this bag thinking, oh yeah, it's a very classic kind of piece. You know, it's got the black caviar there, the gold hardware. Now, this is the small size, which some would argue fits less than the mini rectangle from Chanel. This bag, 17,000 Australian dollars. So 17,260 Australian dollars for that. That is like, I understand it's a luxury bag, but $17,000 for this basic ass plastic coated hardware that's gonna fade in a year bag that couldn't even fit 3/4 of a tampon in there. You're telling me that that is $17,000? Who is going, yeah, I'm gonna buy it because that's worth it. I would love to look them dead in the eyes and say, can you please tell me how this is worth it? Like, surely it's at that point now when people are like, oh, it's too expensive, I'm just like not even bothering. It's not worth that. Like, it is literally like, no. Okay, and I know I'm being a bit preachy Parker up here on my high horse, but let me, because that is so insane, and I just don't know if they will get to a cap where they're like, Chanel's like, okay, like we've reached the maximum, the decline in the demand is high, people aren't buying this anymore, but then it's like they can't reduce the price, or they, like, I know Hermes have sometimes reduced the prices on stuff by a little bit, but like they're up shit creek and they've got no classic flat paddle to help them out of this, because that is a joke! The next bag is from Louis Vuitton, and this is in the men's range. This bag, when, I guess just before it was released, had a little bit of hype on the old fashions, because people were like, oh, is this like the male Birkin equivalent for Louis Vuitton? Like, what is this bag? I'm intrigued. And yeah, it looks very sophisticated and everything like that. But this George's tote in the MM size, 15,300 Australian dollars. Like, I can hope it would change the fucking car tire if you needed it to, because for that price, you'd hope it would do a little bit more than carry your stuff. Now, if you were to review the blurb that Louis Vuitton have provided, I will admit, it in true Louis Vuitton fashion, it is pretty, you know, orgasmic. Named after the son of the house's founder, the exclusive new George's tote combines sumptuous leather with superb craftsmanship. Richly grained cuir millésime calf skin is enhanced with an array of iconic details, from the S-lock closure. Okay, the S-lock closure is on like a pochette Matisse, so it's not really winning me over here. To the metal signature plate inside. Practical and sophisticated, it's ideal for business use. Yeah, drug dealing, because that's the only person who could afford to buy it. Perfect for men who appreciate rare, exceptional bags. Now, I don't doubt the quality of this leather, and I know this millésime leather that Louis Vuitton, was that a Freudian slip? Louis Vuitton marketing is out there, premium, the bee's knees leather. Like, I understand it probably is of a certain quality, but $15,000 for this bag, it looks like a doctor's bag, and I don't see anything iconic about it, to be honest. Yeah, not $15,000. Not in Connor's books, let me tell you. So, I mean, it's more of a like this one looks a bit more substantial than the Prada $9,000 one, or the $10,000 one from Prada. This would sit in the $9,000 category in my brain. You know how we kind of price things subconsciously with what you'd think they would be worth based on what you know? It would sit in the $9,000 range in my mind. Granted, it is a big bit of leather, like that is at least 3/4 of a cow's belly, but still, cows aren't that expensive. Next we have the Andiamo bag from Bottega Veneta. Now, I've probably pulled this bag through the mud in a few of my videos. Not so much of the design, like again, similar to the Louis Vuitton bag before. It's fine, but $11,920 for this? Like, Really? Now, I guess this is cheaper than the Louis Vuitton one, and arguably the Intrecciato kind of crisscross leather that Bottega uses more leather than what, I guess, the Louis Vuitton bag would use, because it's like crisscross weaving over and under the hill. So there's a lot more leather that is put into this. But again, we would assign a dollar value for leather in our head, and it is not $11,920 for this bag. Now, I'm surprised that this Andiamo bag has gotten so much of this kind of following, or this like demand, because it is quite expensive. Generally, when it bags, you know, have this high drive and presence on social media, they're not a super expensive bag. Now, granted, this is the largest size. There are other variations, 8,000, 9,000, they go up to the $13,000 mark. But if you're thinking, yeah, but it's a leather bag, you know, all this craftsmanship, yada, 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 they have a canvas version of this bag, which is got leather accents on the corners and the top part of it, but the majority of it is canvas, and that is $11,730. Now, we all know canvas, like as the name suggests, is canvas, and it is not an expensive textile by any stretch of the imagination. So, you know, you're paying for the Bottega name, which, hey, I can justify paying for a brand name all day, any day. But I just think that this, if the leather version and the craftsmanship is the piece that you're buying from Bottega, and that's $11,000, then it should be consistent with the canvas version, which is the same price. That canvas version should be like half price. You know what I mean? Kind of math. Follow it if you can. Now, the last bag on the list is the Lady Dior from Dior. And this bag is an elegant, pretty bag, okay? It was named after the beautiful Princess Di. Was it Princess Di? Yeah, no, it was. It wasn't fucking Camilla, but it was named after Princess Di, who was gorgeous. And this bag has crept up on the old price Richter scale. Now, I distinctively remember this bag being at $6,000 dues in 2020, and now it is taken the absolute liberty of making itself 9,300 Australian dollars, and I don't think it is worth that at all. Now, this bag, really, it's not a functional bag in my opinion. I've seen people use them or try to use them, and they look in pain. It's got this, like, what would you call it? Like what do they call it? Flap? A large, firm flap that is not robust, and it is a bit cumbersome to use. Now, there's lots of different versions. I think the older one used to have a zip, which people preferred. Even that was still quite rigid, like slotting in and out. But it's a bag that is a statement bag. Like when you see a Lady Dior, it just looks elegant and it looks prim and proper, and it's beautiful. But it's, because it has such little functionality, it is not worth $9,300. This is a great bag to pick up pre-loved, because normally they're about half price, even in like neutral kind of combos. You can get them for around $4,000, $4,500, which I think is worth it for such a bag. But yeah, I just don't think it's worth that kind of price point. A lot of them are in lambskin, which lambskin apparently is one of the more expensive leathers, even though it's not as practical. But I see the appeal behind these bags for the certain kind of person that would want to buy them, but I did not see the appeal in the price tag, and neither should you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Please let me know down in the comments below, what is that one bag that you look at and you think, how the hell are they asking for that kind of price for this bag? I know there's a lot of little minds out there that I'm sure a lot of you will have thoughts on, so please pop it down in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love it if you could give this video the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you once again, and I'll see you all very shortly in my next video.